Hello there. It's my personal opinion that hell does in fact exist. And I don't just mean the bombings that are carried out by the Americans against Syria or the Israelis against the Palestinians and the possible chemical, biological weapons they may use or may not. We don't really know. Um, I believe hell is a man made construct. It's needed in society to keep things in order from a special interest group. Now, I believe that this concept of a man made hell is kept under wraps, it's kept in secret, but you see hints of it here and there. And one of the most simple hints, and you may not even think about it, is Halloween haunted houses that pop up all over the place during Halloween. Like we have them at Playland at the P&E in Vancouver, and they're not particularly scary, at least on the surface anyway. There's also one in the Wax Museum in Victoria, BC, where they had decapitated heads, people being sliced with, like blades and things like that. They were all mannequins, of course, but suppose they took it a step further. Suppose that there were real people who were being slaughtered, and only the social elite were able to go to these events, these special interest groups. And suppose they were sworn to secrecy. Now, the thing is, why, you might question why they would need to do such barbarity. Well, the answer is simple. The price of committing a felony against the government or government appointed celebrities is death by cruelty. And there are characters out there that would fit the bill. And it's not just one government that's explored this. I'm confident that China has dark dungeons, insane asylums, torture facilities within caves and underground passages that are unlocatable by outside interests. They keep it a secret, nobody talks, and nothing ever happens other than the barbarity that happens in those particular places. And maybe sometimes you could just be the boy who knew too much. You don't have to have done anything particularly bad yourself. Uh, all this, of course, is difficult to prove. Most people haven't thought this train of thought before, and they don't want to believe this sort of stuff. They adamantly fight against it because they go, "Oh, I didn't read it on Wikipedia, therefore it can't possibly be true." They control Wikipedia and they control what you know if all you believe is if it's on Wikipedia or not. So put down the Wikipedia and open up the mind. Now, these places, who knows what unspeakable horrors are there? Uh, well, death is the most obvious one, but what kinds of death and how it's distributed, and just being locked in a cell with no television, no entertainment, no nothing is torture in itself. So I'm sure some people have deserved that. And there's organ harvesting in Asia, and I had heard reports of prisons being guarded by crocodiles. I wonder how far the rabbit hole goes down for that particular scene. Nothing would be more horrible than being chewed up into bits by a crocodile. I got to tell you, that's not how I want to die. I'd rather die a peaceful death in my sleep at an old age. So, supposing they make theme parks that are designed to simulate visitors into hell. They're not in hell, they're just observing hell, and they're getting sick pleasure out of certain people suffering. And the thing is, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. Because the thing is, in China, I'm specifically blaming China because I don't really know who to blame, but they're the most obvious person to blame because of the lack of information. So, anyway, I would assume, and I probably am correct about it, that they enjoy seeing white people get tortured and killed. Some of them do, anyway, the ones that matter. In particular, the neo Nazi white ones. I'm not a neo Nazi, I just wear a World War II German helmet. I haven't done anything. I'm not going to do anything to anybody. Um, so, yeah, that in consideration, I mean, I look, you're talking to a guy who his grandfather spent, what was it, 15 years in the army, 11 years in, well, no, he spent 1930 to 1939 in India, and then he came back from India, and they told him, well, look, you're going to World War II, so 9 plus 6 is, yeah, 15 years. Yeah, he spent 15 years in the army. Didn't get anything for it. He died of bronchitis when he was, what was he, 48? So that wasn't very good for him, but at least I'm here anyway, because my dad was born and therefore I'm born. Um, so, yeah, you're talking to a guy who grandfather fought against the Germans in World War II and was in India. My grandfather on my mother's side is Lox Kalam, so I'm quarter Native Indian. My dad's English, and I might just be a little bit of a German sympathizer in World War II because I don't believe every German is at fault. I really don't. Who was at World War II or who has proceeded from Germans' existence since World War II. I don't think it's fair to blame them. I really don't. That's a unfounded prejudice. But I collect German memorabilia because I'm interested in history and I'm a collector and I happen to have a thing for Nazi gold. Okay, so anyway, getting back to my concept of there being a hell on earth, these places can exist in countries like the United States, possibly Europe, possibly Russia, probably China, in such a way that there's no way that an outside country or an outside entity or agency could figure out where they are. If they're constantly moving or they're constantly kept in secret, there's no way of knowing where these places are. Or the people are so tight lipped that they just don't talk. And to build an actual theme park, which would have to be underground or in some giant building, but a giant building would be obvious, so more likely underground or in a cave. And with the drilling capacities of today's construction industries, that's quite possible. So, I mean, China is known for building just these massive cities and train stations and things like that for no apparent reason. So it's not too far fetched. They would build a hell type concept where they take specific pleasure in killing the most successful race of to date, which would be the white European. And the naughty white European is obviously the neo Nazi German. So they might take particular pleasure in doing bad things to white people. but probably all races of the people, just to prove their superiority to themselves anyway. I mean, if they video record all this stuff that they do, whether it be bamboo torture under the fingernails, placing leeches in crevices of the body, that's a creepy experience, and that happened in the Vietnam War. And you may go, well, the Vietnamese are different from the Chinese. It's a stone's throw away. They ain't that different. That's not how politics works, okay? It isn't. So put that aside and try to think of the bigger picture. Uh, Now, to understand this is that the Chinese would be very interested in having white babies as for adoption so that they can condition them, control the information, as I've said in previous videos, and you can dictate how they think, how they behave, and you can manufacture whatever version of history you want to. You could say, we've done studies at what the white people we suspect they believed back in this day, maybe 1,000 years ago. This is how they behave. Look how stupid they are. Look how disgusting they are. Look how whatever they are. And video record that. Of course, that wouldn't be accurate information because there's just no way. But I mean, 1,000 years ago, there was no video recordings, no nothing, so we'll never have that accurate information. But that won't stop them from doctoring it. And the thing is, I've seen how easily convinced people are on Facebook of certain things. Like the Sandy Hook massacre. They believe that the same woman was at all three things. But in two of the three pictures, she's got her hand over her face. And they start saying, oh, well, her brow line and her nose bridge are the same, or some shit like that. And I'm going, no. There's so many reasons why that's totally bogus and just a stupid internet story that I'm not even going to waste my time with someone like you. If you believe that, good for you. We need stupid people in the world to do stupid jobs. You let the intelligent thinking to people who are smarter than me, but, not quite as dumb as you. Okay? So there's that. And the thing is, it's just too profitable having, getting back to the theme park, hell-like exhibits with real people. It's too profitable to the super rich. Because some of them are really sick people. They gain their wealth through the misery and destruction of others. And to be honest with you, we really don't know how the super elite think. They probably have such a low regard for us. I would think that our government, the Western governments, have a better regard for us because we've been more successful. We have less reasons to be angry and less reasons to be miserable than countries in the East. And again, look, I can't prove any of this. I can't prove that there's these almost FEMA-like camps. I wouldn't call them FEMA camps, though, because it's not a FEMA camp. But I mean like a hell-type theme park where people actually get killed and things like that. It's on such a small scale, but you guarantee that there are people who want to bring it up a notch, bring it up a notch, and then all of a sudden, people who commit crimes against government officials or commit crimes against celebrities or whatever end up in a horrible place where it's a hell-themed zone. Yeah, I know I keep jumping back and forth, but another thing is, there also the other reason the Chinese want white babies is to prove how is to condition us to prove how stupid we are. But not only that, but also to have us empathize with our own government within their country, but have a tight squeeze on them so that we feel guilt. We feel terrible for the horrible things that China will do to these people, and we'll never be able to stop them if we don't comply with their demands. Obviously, we don't entirely comply with their demands. We're reasonable about it, but because to be honest with you, China would be a smoldering hole in the ground considering how evil a country it is. And it is, and a lot of people won't agree with me, but I don't care if you agree with me or not. That's just the truth. So, yeah, they will definitely want white babies, and they will have wanted them to breed so that they could have more white babies and more white people within their jurisdiction, which they can do whatever they want with them. Spooky stuff. I've made videos of being in the mental health system and all that, and I've complained, but really I've been kind of a baby about it. I mean, I could be in an Asian mental health institution, and I guarantee you that would be a truly horrifying experience. So I'm not going to Asia. I'm never going there. I don't care if that woman on the morning news, Claire Newman or whatever her name is, I don't care if she goes to Hong Kong every now and then. I really don't. You want to do that? You go ahead. I'm not. Yeah, hell exists, people. And you can either understand that or you don't. Really don't make no difference. If it comes for you, it's coming for you. Watch your asses.